The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Wednesday.
A day after a Clowncil meeting.
The day after a Clowncil meeting, and quite the meeting it was. We'll get to that because I got a few things to say about that one, especially one of the issues. But let's begin. I've got to tell you, they raised the fee again. Terry Sullivan was in there playing the old, we're going to raise the gas prices up to $3.50 and then we drop them down to $3.25. Everybody's happy. That's the oldest con in the world. Oh, it's only $10. It's only going to be $10 for a single family only. Oh, and take heart. We didn't raise the meter fee, all the other fees, too, that we could have raised, which we always raise. And why do we raise them? To get more money to give everybody pay raises, including Terry. So, and I apologize. I had every intent of bringing my taxpayer Daisy swatter down to swat the taxpayers this morning, right at the beginning of the show. I will have it Friday. I forgot it in the car. I'm going to be smacking the taxpayer around. We'll get a little taxpayer dummy, and I'm going to slap him around with another fee increase, like our Clowncil does, with a total disregard. But don't worry about it. It's only a little one. Don't worry about the fact that you get the lowest wages, the highest unemployment rate, the lowest per capita income, the lowest household income in the state. But don't worry. It's only another couple of dollars. No big deal. What do you people complain about?
My problem is it's never been what they say. They say, oh, it's going to be $10.
Yeah, well, I mean, in addition to the fact that it's never, ever is in their estimate.
Now, here's what, but he did clarify it a little bit. He says, on the average single-family home, it'll be about $10. That's projecting 109 gallons a day.
Average. That's average doesn't mean that means that figure is not a figure. Exactly. It's an average.
Yep.
Okay. That means that all their friends are going to get the small bills and you're going to get the big bill. So don't worry about it. That's what it means, and we know that. But again, here goes the taxpayer. Right down. Squash them, council.
And, they justified it with, the federally mandated CSO project.
That we should not be paying for because Terry didn't put in the paperwork because he was on vacation.
Right.
Is that the project you're talking about?
That's the project.
Okay. Just
and
checking.
Then they said all the water pipe relining that they're doing in the city.
Well, that's not what the water fee was supposed to be for, was it? It was supposed to be a federal project, right? Mm-hmm. We're paying off a federal project. It's not for relining of water means.
No,
that's not what that's not what they created that to do. Well, it was supposed to be to pay off the debt that we incurred that we shouldn't have incurred because of malfeasance on the part of a public official who has continued to work in that capacity and goes there, and it's the same old crap. If we go back 10 years and listen to Terry Sullivan, all we got to do is change the numbers a little bit.
That's it. And
it's the same old song in front of the council every time, and our Clowncil rubber stamps it. But ka-ching, ka-ching,
and
ka-ching.
They did it again.
Screw the taxpayers.
Yep.
Tiff, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Oh, I'm going to have fun Friday with my Daisy swatter.
And the thing is, the only person that came out and really defended the people was Steve Camara. He always defends the people when it comes to raising fees. And
because he doesn't want to pay them. He is like a giant self-interest group. But kudos to him, even though he's doing the right thing, maybe for the wrong reason, but he's still doing the right thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, so everybody, I don't see a big article about the proposed increase in the fees because they've convinced everybody that, hey, you just take it. And roof work will begin on 5 Fall River government buildings. Isn't it amazing that, what have we said here on this show for how many years? We should have an election every 6 months.
Things will get done.
Every time there's an election on the horizon, we begin to fix everything. We're going to fix the roofs that have been in disrepair for years. We're going to fix the streets. We're going to have everybody get fixing everything because we're going to run for office.
We just took $7 million loan out to fix the Watson School, so.
So remember, when there's an election, they fix everything. So let's have one every 6 months. Rather than the hell with it every 2 years. I don't want 4-year terms. I want 6-month terms.
That's it.
So, and here what? We have teen shot in leg near home in Fall River. Wow, it's been quite a while since we had a shooting in Fall River.
No, just the shooting that they reported on.
Yeah, well, true, not shots fired, but we got rid of the thing that actually can record them.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
So this way we can say, well, it's like the tree that falls in the forest. Did it make a noise if no one heard it?
Exactly.
That's a great philosophical question. But I guess he was shot in the leg, so there definitely was a shot fired. So welcome to the Riv. Remember, let's get more people to move in so they can get shot at. What else? Fall River CPA gives $1 million to preservation.
$1.8 million.
Yeah, and remember, that's oh God, I love this stuff.
They just gave Terry Sullivan like $180,000 so that he can buy 3 parcels of land next to the Copacabana Reservoir. And it was an emergency, so it had to be done right away, because if it wasn't done by June 30th, the state wouldn't match it. At least they were leveraging some money. They're going to get $200,000 from the state, which is still your money. It's still your money.
Yeah, it's your money, it's your tax money, and they decide what they do with it, and it always goes to someone or something that's politically connected or part of the political machine. Like, okay, let's give Terry Sullivan more money.
Well,
he's like, there's never a time where Terry Sullivan doesn't need money for something, whether it's buying land, buying new buildings, or, relining. He'll always find a way. He is like a giant alligator with his mouth open, and just keeps shoveling those fees down the taxpayer's throat. Never ever looking to if we can streamline operations or do something to help maybe not have a tax increase. The hell would it give them? Just keep jacking it up for everyone.
Well, in the 2020 budget for the water department, the rental fees went from $1,000 a year to $25,000 in 1 year, a 250% increase. Kind of high, don't you think? And you know why? Because the lease on their electric cars is running out, and they want to pay them off and buy those cars now.
Good. And then when they have to buy a new battery, they're going to find out how much they really cost. That's why most of those cars, people dump them, because it's, but hey, money is never an object with the government, because they just give you more taxes and more fees and charge you more. It's your money. They do not pay for anything. I would be driving a Ferrari if I could get the city to pay for it. I'd have a Ferrari, a couple new motorcycles. I mean, look.
Well, Jaisal had what, a Mercedes, and somebody else paid for it.
Yeah, somebody else. That's right. Somebody else paid for it. But and I was looking at this. It just kind of hit me. It's funny because I remember you speaking about this numerous times. The Florida developer proposes Weaver Street housing for residents 55 and older. But the thing that kind of immediately struck my eye when I began to look at this article was the complex is in what currently zoned commercial mill district. The project site plan shows that tenants would have 237 parking spaces available, including 164 indoor garage parking spots. Isn't it amazing that they're concerned about actually having parking places for the people who are going to reside in its facility?
Market rate housing, too.
When remember, how many parking places do they have down at the waterfront behind the old Jerry Remy's, whatever it's called now?
Yeah.
And how many parking places do those housing that they want to put on Bedford Street? Didn't you just talk about that?
Yeah, we just talked about that, yeah.
But now all of a sudden, heaven forbid you actually make sure that you have the ability for these people to park when you're trying to sell them a unit. Of course, that's no consideration. What do you think people buy $1 million condos in Boston for? They don't have to drive into Boston and fight the traffic, and they actually have a parking spot.
That's right.
That's the reason they buy this
Here's
stuff.
the interesting thing about that project. Number one, it's for 55 and over who are going to pay market rate housing rates, okay? Market rate for that. How many seniors in Fall River do you know can afford $1,200 or $1,500 a month for rent?
Believe me, if they can afford market rate housing and they're over 55, they're probably retiring or getting ready to retire, and they're already using that money that they're going to save by not living there to get their house in Florida.
Right, exactly.
Or out on the West Coast somewhere in Arizona or Nevada.
Yeah.
They're not living in market rate housing for that price. Even if they stayed in the Fall River area, they'd be moving to the burbs. I mean, if you can afford that housing, you're not going to live there.
Right.
Because who would want to live in Fall River with a shooting every other day and a stabbing every other day and all the other issues we've got in Fall River?
Well, and here's the great thing about this building. It's located in the perfect spot. It's in a commercial district.
Yep.
It's right on the side of the rail. Mm-hmm. It's going to be located behind the building that Star wants to build.
Yep.
And it's across the street from a pot shop.
There you
Hey, you're all set.
Look at what better place to live if you're elderly.
You'll hear the train going by.
That,
you know.
right? And you can see the junkies shooting up when they get
Yeah.
out of Star, and you can go across to the pot shop.
That's it.
But then again, they might open a pot cafe because that segues us in. You know, this project it's absolutely. You look at it and say, well, in one way, it's at least fairly well thought out. Number one, it gets an older group, which you'll have normally less problems. They're also providing parking spaces, but then you look at the whole picture, not just the tree. You look at the forest, and then you go, God, this is ridiculous. As you said, who's going to pay those kind of rents to live in Fall River? You know, if you're retired and you can afford that kind of rent, you can go down and get and rent a wide body trailer down in Florida for half that for a month.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, right now on Alden Street, we have another building opening with 55 plus housing, and it's market rate. Again, it's market rate.
Yeah, the old LB file.
No, down the street.
The other one, the
yeah,
leather.
down the street. Yeah, no, even further down from that, it's behind. You know how they built the one in the mill complex, right? The what do they call that? Tower? No, it's not Tower Mill Outlet. It's on right where the Quikasham and Quarry Street come together.
Quikasham and Quarry. You mean across the street?
Yeah, across the street.
Yeah, I forgot that. That used to be Stella Ann Frock in the old days when the mills were running. That used to be Stella Ann Frock.
And that's one. And now right behind that is another building, and they're making that age 55.
Yeah, well, there's a whole bunch of buildings used to be. There used to be Pocket Candy back there,
Right,
and it used to be a whole bunch of stuff.
Market rate housing, with, from what I've been told, 14 units for seniors who need subsidized housing, because we don't have enough housing, by the way, for seniors.
And I'm not even sure if that's addressed. That address is correct, because the Stella Ann Frock building is a Quikasham Street address.
Yeah.
And I believe that Pocket Candy used to have a Quikasham Street address. The ones on Alden Street, in the front of Alden, the old Fall River Knitting Mill, stuff like that, those had Alden. So, but it's irrelevant. What's relevant is the fact that they do it. But then again,
And
let's
it's opening at the end of May. We're in the end of May.
We're getting plenty of housing, and all we're getting is people who can't pay rents in here.
Exactly.
So, nobody's moving in here that can pay the rent. So our population would be about 50,000 if you got rid of all the people that are on assistance. The reality is we have Fall River flight. Everybody that can leave is leaving, basically.
And those that can't leave are staying. And the worst part about it is those that can't stay in other cities and towns are moving here.
That's right.
So we're getting the dregs of society out of other towns like Boston.
And not only are we getting them, we're advertising for them.
We're advertising
for them. Come to Fall River. It's Valhalla for people like you. Okay. Now, then we get to the next idiocy, government idiocy. Social consumption pilot for marijuana. Quote, would make a lot of sense, unquote, by Governor Baker, who was previously opposed to this. Now, you know, we're going to have this is another quote, we're going to have a political discussion. The Cannabis Control Commission is expected to have a, quote, policy discussion, unquote, on Thursday on social consumption. So we're going to have, here we are spending billions, nearly trillions of dollars on addiction, and we're going to allow people to get high socially on a gateway drug. What better place than a gateway city? Let's bring them all to Fall River too. Let's have a whole bunch of people getting high, getting in their cars before there's any valid test to see if they're driving impaired. What the hell? I mean, there's just a total disregard for the public. All they think about is tax money and political correctness. They don't give a damn about anything about the people and the welfare of the people who work for a living. Social consumption. All right, you want to consume it. They made it legal. Now we're going to let them. We're going to let them do it like alcohol. And look, all the success we've had in enforcing the alcohol consumption laws, right?
Oh, yeah, we're perfect.
Does a day ever go by where somebody isn't in front of a judge on local TV for DUI?
We always got them.
Is there ever a day? As a matter of fact, Tiger Woods is getting sued now.
And look at all the people, even recently here in the area, that have gotten into accidents and caused deaths.
Yeah.
That alcohol was involved.
That's right. And one of them was she was a second-time offender. She
Right.
killed some people, and she was just on TV last week. She got DUI'd again. As far as I'm concerned, those people should get life in prison. Well, actually, I would prefer the death penalty.
If
but,
we were in Japan, they would.
obviously, I'm a little over. But I mean, this is beyond nonsensical. You know, this is what we've got today. And who's running a society? We've got millennials making demands on how they want, what they want, the Green New Deal, and remember about millennials, because we got one for a mayor. They're so pathetic that they're actually giving classes to millennials on how to do their laundry and write checks. This is true.
Oh, I know.
I saw it.
Yeah.
They're giving classes to these people, adults, still living in mommy and daddy's basement. And then you got 11-year-olds demanding telling Pelosi what to do, as bad as she is. An 8 or 11-year-old does not belong. They haven't contributed anything to this society. The people who built the railroads went out west in the Conestoga wagons. Those people that built this country, now they're seeing the country run by a bunch of people that can't write their own checks or do their laundry. This is a sad commentary. And every time you see something on television and you're just appalled by it,
Some of them
because you just can't believe the insanity. Well, think about it. These are the people you're allowing to run this nation.
Right.
Because they've conned everybody into believing they're some kind of great group. No, they're a great group. Voting bloc. And they pander to them. Oh, the millennials are demanding it. Well, the millennials vote. But they don't do much of anything else if they do vote, because they can't do their laundry. They can't write a check. They can't get their own apartment.
And
they can't live on their own. And they're supposedly chronologically adults. So forgive me if I don't give much credence to any of their demands. So,
And remember, they can't sign their name.
that's right. They think cursive writing is a foreign language.
Right.
Now, this is the country that we've created. And now they refuse to teach geography and civics. They're going to teach them important things like printing.
And how to live off mommy and daddy.
You imagine what people throughout the world, imagine if you went to Japan with their school system, or Germany, where they have the trade, and they look at people and they come here and they go, these people can't read, they can't actually read their own language.
Right.
You know, they need a Kindle to read, to talk to them about the book. They can't read their own language. It has to be printed. They think cursive is a foreign language. It's just, it's mind-boggling. So let's segue now into the City Clowncil meeting, because I got a few, we saw a little bit of issue with the council meeting. CJ, thank you for alerting the council. I know you wrote them a letter yesterday.
I sent them an email, yes.
Letter, emailed, text, whatever. They're all letters.
Yeah.
But you alerted them to the fact that what they were looking to do was really discriminatory toward another group.
I said they were creating a second tier,
Well,
or two classes
yeah.
of veteran.
Well, you're right, and look, let me make something perfectly clear. And obviously, I have a, I have a perspective based. I am a veteran, and I will preface these remarks by saying I don't think there's anything that this country shouldn't do for a veteran. And now to say we're going to carve out classes of veterans within our own community is just ridiculous. And I'm glad you wrote that letter, because I know that not one counselor reached out to the retirement board or spoke to anybody on the board, to my knowledge, because I've spoken to a few of them, about this. Obviously, I'm in favor of it. I disagree with the time parameter. I believe that a veteran should have the right to access anything they need because of the service that they gave to their country. I had a very close friend of mine that used to go to the Boys Club with me every day, and I watched him die. I watched him first get cancer, then heart disease, from Agent Orange. I helped him process his VA claim, and I watched him die, and he didn't get Agent Orange. The effects of Agent Orange didn't hit him till 30 or 40 years after he was exposed to it. To put some kind of time limit on what they did when they put on a uniform, and let's remember something. And shame on Jason Burns for making it only a firefighter. I know he said something to the effect that Perak told him that it would be easier to get through. No, it isn't. That's below. Number one, you're not going to talk to Perak. Perak doesn't give a damn.
It wasn't Perak. It was the state.
Oh,
it was
the great and honorable court.
Yep, it was the legal counsel for them.
Well, the legal counsel should have his head examined, and so should he, because you know and I know. And he knows, because he's pushed through some home rule petitions. Nobody in the state gives a crap about what happens in Fall River, just like we don't give a crap about what happens in Weymouth or any other place. A home rule petition is just that. It only affects Fall River. And every other rep and senator will support a home rule petition, because when they bring theirs forward, they want theirs to go through.
Of course.
For their own community. So that is nothing but, you know what they used to say? We'll use a military term. CYA.
Yep.
He was trying to, cover your ass to make it look like, why did I forget all the rest of the vets? I'm just taking care of my own people. They're not your people. Because I'm going to tell you something. There's no such thing as a firefighter veteran, or a police veteran, or a DPW veteran. Because when those individuals were wearing a uniform of their country, they were soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, or they were in the Coast Guard, which, by the way, just as an aside, up until very recently, the Coast Guard was not considered a military service except in time of war. Now that's been changed. They went from the Department of Transportation over to the Department of Defense. They were not firefighters. They were veterans. I don't believe in time limits that they missed on anything for a veteran. You put on a uniform of this country, you wrote this country a check that was cashable up to your life. It doesn't matter where you went. It doesn't matter if you were in during a time we didn't have a war. Because while you wore that uniform, there could have been a war declared. They could have sent you into an area. You could have been killed in a training exercise. But you wore the uniform of your country. You were ready to sacrifice your life for your country. There's not enough this nation can do for its veterans, and we've seen how they've been screwed over. Absolutely screwed over. They come out, they go to the VA, they stand in endless lines, they don't get the tests they need because the government doesn't want to spend that money. And we didn't realize the traumatic brain injury, you didn't have it recorded in your. I remember when Agent Orange first came out. The government denied the effects of Agent Orange for decades till so many people died. They finally acknowledged it decades later after the exposures to Agent Orange. There's nothing. There's no cost too high to give to a veteran. And this city should extend that benefit to them, all of them, everybody who put a uniform on.
Well, here's what was said. In 2001, I guess it was, they opened a window again for a short period of time for those people who have missed their time to buy their time and add it to their retirement in the pension system for the city. They get 180 days from the day they're hired to buy their time. And the argument that was presented by Jason Burns and by several others was that when they start with the city, they may be young and just starting out a family. They may not have the money to buy that time back right then and there. But under state law, they only get the 180 days, where in a couple of years, they may be able to afford to buy the time back. And I think that's why, Jason said he wants to see this go across the state and he wants to expand it everywhere, but he was advised to narrow his focus.
Yeah,
So
well, the narrow focus is you're looking at statewide every veteran, because the state's not going to, the state would not pass a discriminatory thing like that just gives firefighter veterans, because that's not what they were talking about. And apparently, maybe he has maybe his ability to comprehend things in mind are a little different, but I would not construe that opinion that way. What the state is looking at is an entire state where every veteran in the state has the ability to put in for their time, and I believe that should be the fact. That should be the case. But that was not the issue. The issue was to allow Fall River veterans, through a home rule petition, not to be able to do that. And I don't believe in 180 days. I don't believe there should be ever a time. I don't care if a veteran, the first 180 days on any job, you're difficult enough learning a job, figuring out how many people you're going to claim on your taxes, getting used to the things, and then you might miss it. Fine. As far as I'm concerned, a veteran who's putting 30 years on a job at any point in time, a veteran should be able to buy back the time he served in the military service. He was working for the government. He was working for the United States of America, and he should be able to buy that time, because while he was in the service, he couldn't be on the fire department, on DPW. He chose to leave his city and put on the uniform of the United States of America and defend it. And he should be allowed to buy that time back whenever the hell he wants to buy it. And that's my opinion. And shame on the legislature, because it's a cost item. And just like Mary Sahadi once called the retirees liabilities, veterans have now become a liability. They give you a window and they slam the window shut. And I give him credit for bringing it up, but it was done in the wrong manner. And I hope the city council corrects this and does it, because, frankly, I'm not worried about the rest of the state. This came up in front of the Fall River City Council, should have been brought up to say every single veteran has this, and make the argument in front of the State House when you want. Let this home rule petition build a fire under every other city and town in the state. Let them do the work, or let them go to their legislators. But let's get this done and get it done the right way, and give all our veterans their chance.
Interestingly enough, it was Sean Kadim who said, no, we've got to open this up to everyone. I sent them all emails, and I said, you're creating a discriminatory and a second tier of veterans, two classes of veterans, and that's not acceptable. I said it's discriminatory and ignorant. That's exactly what I said, and that's exactly what it was.
And isn't it an irony that we have a firefighter who is now talking about a discriminatory, and we supported him, but it's irrelevant whether he was a firefighter or anything, but a public employee who's not allowed to hold office is complaining about being discriminated against and singled out because of his employer. Now, how can we just say that we're only going to extend this benefit to one class of veterans? You're right, it's wrong. But at least we got the process started, and hopefully we're all on the same page, because City Council, for once, you started to do something right. Let's finish the job and give our veterans what they deserve.
Well, they sent that home rule petition up to corporate counsel, to Joe Macy, to see if they can change that wording so it includes every
Joe should do a good job, because Joe's a veteran.
Yeah, so I hope so.
Let's hope so.
We'll see you on Friday. Have a great day, and remember, stay angry.